There are serious threats in the 7th episode of Lioness's 2nd season, and everything is at stake. Just to fill you in, the team has been pursuing the Lost Tigers cocaine cell this season. Rumor has it that Chinese intelligence is behind their operations. Episode 2 introduced the crucial subplot with Josephina, whereas Episode 1 established the background. The United States is making use of her status as the niece of the cartel chief. Unfortunately, this conflict has caused some unpleasant obstacles in her journey as a dedicated soldier, notably with Joe, the captain of her team. Episodes 3, 4, and 5 further reveal deeper connections to child smuggling rings, Iranian nuclear war plans, and the betrayal of a Mexican special agent. What could possibly go wrong in the 7th episode of Lioness's 2nd season when Joe is already battling for her life after being shot? In order to discuss the problem of the strike team ambush, Edwin shows up to see Byron. Byron thinks the suicide bombers were Iranian Chinese counterintelligence, but he wants to know why they were at the border along with supposed nuclear activity in Tehran. He believes it's an attempt to influence the election by destabilizing the border. Without a leader, the enemy is at the gate. A dilemma persists. Edwin is determined to slam the gate shut, regardless of the consequences for their careers. Joe, meanwhile, is in a full-blown panic attack after waking up in the hospital while Neil and the daughters are there. The doctor explains that it wasn't a bullet, but a piece of Joe's cell phone that caused the injury. It goes down like a lead balloon that she can't engage in any strenuous exercise for the following week. In episode 6, Neil tells Joe that she would kill him if she dies while on the job, and Joe calls her cruel for saying that. How did Joe react? He needs to be strong enough to leave or divorce her. It appears like Joe wants out, but she tells Neil it has to be her way, or else. She is determined to fulfill her responsibilities because she has taken the pledge. In order to learn more about the ambush, Byron shows up. Joe believes the bombers weren't out to harm the team per se, but rather to prevent them from gaining access to an asset. Joe is appointed by Byron to direct the expedition, similar to Caitlin's role. Joe isn't happy about giving up ground control, and Byron isn't making it easy for her either. Our Mexican special agent, Caitlin, is among the captives, and Kyle and Caitlin have come to the location where they are being held. Considering what Caitlin said at the end of the last episode, they are administering a polygraph test to him in order to ascertain whether he is being truthful. He denies accepting any kind of bribe, but he dodges the question of whether or not he reported the incident. The fact that he murdered the man, Keith Roberts, who extended the proposition, eventually reveals that he did not. He elaborates on how the drug problem dwarfs all of them and is fundamentally unchecked. The housekeeper, who was tapped and is now in protective custody, is approached by Caitlin in order to continue further. She orders Kyle to clean up the mess before them. They've confirmed they need to be evacuated from the location and are dealing with a serious time bomb before seeing our polygraph subject. Kate proposes a secure location in Costa Rica to go forward and establish common ground. She asks, effectively reiterating their agreement to return to the same side and complete what they began. Meanwhile, Cruz and Josephina make it to Cruz's North Carolina house. The crew whisks Pablo away to Costa Rica. Regardless of the outcome of the trip, Josephina is concerned that she will never be off the hook with Pablo. As they discuss what happened, they're definitely drawn to each other since they both experience physical abuse in their homes. Someone is pounding on the door as they are about to share a kiss when Bobby and the lad show up. He explains that their base hold is unprepared. Caitlin pays a hospital visit to Joe in Washington. Joe wasn't there to end child smuggling. He was sent to bring down the cartel. Caitlin is coming for her like a ton of bricks. She has failed in every way. Rapidly, she seeks a different objective. Joe is prepared to disregard the doctor's recommendations to rest and return to work without delay. Josephina believes the whole responsibility is on her shoulders, but Cruz believes her interference in the previous episode is stopping the mission. Upon returning home, Joe is unimpressed by Neil's thoughtful concern for her health. Attempting to convey how precarious her health is, he becomes enraged with her for having already departed for work. How did Joe react at last? She opens up to Neil about her work, the kid smuggling ring, in greater detail. She takes it as an excuse to skip sleep and go straight to the CIA. Byron is quite irritated that she has shown up for the meeting. Weapons are being sent to Tehran as part of the Iranian-Chinese nuclear developments. Joe doesn't understand the mission, although there's a U.S. base close to their location. Here's a fresh one, proving to the two nations that they aren't alone in having open borders. In the end, Team Lioness will launch an attack on Tehran, and Josephina will get to use her skills as a helicopter pilot. The only condition is that the strikes must be carried out in Iran, not Iraq, so they can see how far we can reach. She's informed that she can just observe and advise after Joe persuades Byron and Caitlin to assume control. The stakes are considerably higher. If something goes wrong, Joe is also not permitted to leave the Iranian base. There is a degree of deniability in the event that something goes wrong, as Byron clarifies from Edwin's initial statement, because this does not have official CIA sanction. Joe should be aware of her boundaries and assets, according to Caitlin, so that she doesn't become a burden. Cruz and Josephina are in Cruz's house about to share their first kiss when suddenly their phones start ringing. The group is unaware of why they are returning to Iraq. All they know is that they are. Joe, all decked out in his finest, greets the squad at the airport where they are also meeting up with another squad. Joe assures Josephina that she is not involved, but that she is here to save the day. When Joe phones Neil, he gets irritated because he can hear an airplane roaring in the distance. He becomes so angry that he hangs up since he didn't put the girls first. She gets on the plane, clearly unsure of how long her absence will last.